Stampin' friends, it's Ayana Johnston here with another check this out video tutorial to show you. Today I want to show you how I made this fun Merry Christmas snowflake card using a masking technique, and I also used a beautiful sponge sprayer that I haven't used very often, and I don't know why, because it's great. So let me show you how to use this great tool while making this fun Christmas card that's quick and easy, and I'm sure everybody will just love it. You can get the supply list for this card on my blog at www.checkthisout.stampinup.net. And be sure to stop by my website, because the end of November, on top of the Stampin' Up! Black Friday deals, I always offer something myself, and you just don't want to miss it. Okay, so let's get started making this card. To make this card, you're going to need two stamp sets. You're going to need the Colorful Season stamp set, and this is such a versatile stamp set because it comes with stuff for the fall. It also comes with stuff for Christmas, and then you can even use it for the springtime. So out of this stamp set, I'm going to use this snowflake right here and this snowflake right here. Then I am also using the Snowflake Sentiments stamp set, and I'm going to use the Merry Christmas from Our Family to Yours, and then I also use this cute kind of designing swervy swirl here for my card. For cardstock, you're going to need the following. You're going to need a sheet of the Dapper Denim cardstock, and you're going to want to cut this at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then you're going to need 3 sheets of Very Vanilla. Or sorry, not Very Vanilla, excuse me, Whisper White. So one of the sheets for Whisper Whites is going to be cut at 3 3/4 by 5. Then this for the inside of your card, you're going to want to cut this at 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then you're going to want to cut another sheet of Whisper White at 3.5 by 3.5. Then you need a sheet of the silver foil paper, and you're going to want to cut this at 4 inches by 5 1/4, and then we're going to use the middle part of this as well so we don't waste any of it. Such a beautiful sheet of paper to use. You're also going to need the layering squares. So out of the layering squares, I'm going to use this large scallop square, and then I'm going to use the second to the largest out of this layering square right below here. For stamp sets, you're going to need 4. In my card I have 5, but for this demonstration I'm going to just use 4, and you're still going to get a beautiful look. So the 4 stamp pads that you're going to need are Smoky Slate, Dapper Denim, Marina Mist, and Pear Pizzazz. And for this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and show you them in this order, so that way you kind of get the whole kind of color scheme when you see it on the card. So the first thing you're going to need is a sheet of grid paper, and what I'm going to do with this grid paper is I'm going to take my piece of Whisper White that is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and I'm going to put some snail on the back of it, and I'm going to adhere it to the back of this grid paper, or to this grid paper, so I can line up the masking that I'm going to be doing. So now that I've done that, it's good, and it's not going to move around me when I'm going ahead and using the masking technique and I'm using the sponge brayer. I will tell you, these sponge brayers, I wasn't sure about them, but oh my goodness, they create a beautiful look, and they're so easy to use. So you only need 1 sponge brayer because I'm usually starting from lights to darks. You get 2 with the package, and you get 2 ones to exchange, however you want. So feel free, I could use both of these for this project, but it's amazing how the colors don't blend in too much. So I'm going to go ahead and get a sheet of sticky paper. So I like these sticky pads when I'm doing the masking techniques, and then I line it up with the grid paper as well, so that way I know that I'm getting a straight line. I love this grid paper. And now I'm going to start with a smaller masking technique here. I'm going to just make it probably about a little over 1/4 inch here, because I want to kind of graduate my colors, because I like that effect too. Actually, I'm going to make it just a little bigger. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and take my pear pizzazz and I'm going to use my sponge sprayer. Now when I go ahead and do this, I want to do it in a forward motion so that way I get it all over my sponge. And then I'm going to just go over here switch my sponge. I'm going to go over it so I get that nice pear pizzazz look. And you can make it how light or dark you want it. And I want you to see the pear. So that's all I'm going to do for the pear pizzazz. Next I'm going to go ahead and make my next shade by moving my masking tape down, and I'm going to make this one a little bigger. And then I'm going to take my smoky slate and I'm going to go ahead and sponge with my smoky slate. Since my smoky slate is lighter, I'm going to go ahead and use a new sponge for that one. Okay, next I'm going to just move it right on down. And so since I want this last piece to be my biggest color change, I'm going to move it down so much so it's a little bigger than the last one. I'm going to do my Marina Mist. I'm just going to lightly watch my edges. They can overlap. You'll see just a little bit, but not too much. And that's all you have to do. And then look, you've got this beautiful shaded color paper for the snowflakes. So next what you're going to see me do is I'm going to use my Versamark ink, and I'm going to go ahead and use my piercing mat, and I'm going to stamp some random snowflakes all over here. Go ahead and use this. Oh, lost that. Just trying to look and see if I want to fit a few more in here. Next, I'm going to go ahead and get my piece of paper. Go ahead and put on some silver embossing powder. Next, I'm going to go heat emboss this. Look at that, look how pretty. Now I'm going to take my smaller snowflake and I'm going to go ahead and stamp it with Versamark ink, and then I'm going to heat emboss it with white powder, the clear embossing powder. One more thing I'm going to do with my other piece of paper, with the Whisper White, 3.5 by 3.5, I'm going to stamp my sentiment, which is the Merry Christmas, with Versamark ink, and then I'm going to put silver embossing powder over that as well. Now to heat emboss. Okay, so now I have my heat embossed. I've got my beautiful, look at that, beautiful piece of paper with my snowflakes on it. Next, what I want to do is I want to cut out my Merry Christmas with the square, and I want to cut in the middle of my foil sheeted paper with the scallop square. And let me do that with my Big Shot. Okay, now I have my pieces all ready to go, and I can adhere all of these together with my card. So you're going to see me adhere all of these pieces together and watch how quickly this just comes together. Okay, so you can see I added a few extra steps. I needed to ink around the square and the swirl, and then you just add some nice rhinestones, and look at that beautiful Christmas card. And for those of you that like to stamp the inside of your card, that's where the other piece of Whisper White would come in, and then you would just go ahead. I use the saying, wishing you a season of joy, a season of cheer, but most of all, a wonderful year with some snowflakes. Just love this card. Look at that. You know, and they're just two different looks because of the shades of colors, but they all turn out very nice. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you give this card a try. It's a great fun one to do. And be sure to check out my blog because those November sales are right around the corner. Happy stampin'!